I want to take this opportunity to answer two questions about Wilson's What is Science chapter that we didn't get to address last night. One was the question that would have gone to Sam, but since he's not a member of the class, he didn't answer it. And then the other one was that went to Anastasia, and for some reason I was not able to hear her response. So I'm sure that she would have given an excellent response, so I am going to try and replicate what she probably would have said right here. So her question had to do with what discourse modes did Wilson engage in, and was one or more at the service of another. And this relates to this idea that any piece of discourse can be falling into one of four categories: description, narration, exposition, argument. So at times Wilson is using description when he's talking about the ants and what they do when they basically encounter a dead body. And then he describes some of the smells that would accompany a corpse. So anything that appeals to the senses is description. Narration is storytelling. And so in his letter, again, this is a specific genre, what he does is he tells the story of how it is that he tried to determine how it is that ants know when one member of their community is dead. And then most ants then take it and they remove it from the colony. They take it out and throw it on a pile of dead ants. So storytelling is a regular feature of many modes of many types or genres of discourse. The next one is exposition. So he does explain things when he talks about sort of multiple hypotheses and why it's important to have multiple hypotheses. He's explaining why having them helps you weed out the ones that are wrong and find the one that is best, and avoids the possible trap of having a pet hypothesis that you stick to. And then finally there's the notion of argument. And so I would say that the entire collection of this letter is basically an argument, and it has a couple of main points. One is he's telling you what science is and what science isn't. He is arguing that science is superior to mythologies for explaining origin of the world and origin of the universe. He's making an argument that says you can be a religious person and still be a good scientist. What you have to do is you have to keep these things separate, and you might want to be careful about what science you choose to focus on. And if you accept Genesis 1 through 3 as a legitimate explanation of special creation, then you really might want to steer clear of biology. You might do really good work in optics or some other kind of science, but there are some sciences that are incompatible with believing certain religious accounts of nature. Okay? And the one that Sam would have had was about consilience. So Wilson basically sees that questions that arise in biology are often answered by new discoveries in chemistry, and questions that arise in chemistry are often answered by new discoveries in physics, and questions in physics might actually be answered by new discoveries in chemistry. And so consilience is this idea that each one of the sciences helps the other science as they kind of bring in information from another direction about what had been a question, a problem, an issue. And so the question said, where does Wilson think this might go, and who might resent this? And so Wilson is saying, guess what? The same kind of information that is available in the sciences might be useful in the social sciences, and maybe even in the humanities. Maybe we can answer questions about, what makes Hamlet a great play based upon knowledge that comes from psychology or cognitive science, etc. And this is where some people are going to resist it, and particularly some people in the humanities. Their response to E.O. Wilson is going to be, stay in your lane, dude. The idea that science could take over and sort of answer all questions in all disciplines, it'd be kind of threatening and kind of irritating to people who work in other disciplines. And so, by and large, Wilson seems to do a pretty good job of coming across not as some arrogant scientist, but as a scientist who says, I'm really trying to help, and I'm trying to help people who aren't scientists understand what it is that we do. But in a couple places, he certainly treads on some other people's territory. So that, I think, is an answer to the questions that did not get answered yesterday. And I'll talk to you later.